What is up, NFL fans, and welcome back to another episode of the Pro Football Insiders Football Buffet, where we take a look back at last week, Week 6, and give it a look ahead to Week 7. I'm Jeff Hartman, joined by my esteemed colleagues, Rob Stats Guerrera. What's up, Rob?
I've never been esteemed before.
It's the first time for everything, man. Coach Kevin Smith, what's up, Coach?
What's up? How are you guys? Ready for some buffet action? Let's go.
Yes, there's a lot to discuss this week. Coach, I'm going to let you kick things off in terms of our stories of the week. Go back into Week 6. What do you want to talk about?
For me, I think it's what transpired immediately after Week 6 that is noteworthy, and that's the firing of Brian Callahan in Tennessee. You can't say that it was unwarranted or unjustified. He went 4-19 in a season and a half or so. But this marks now the fourth straight time that the quarterback selected number one overall in the draft has seen his head coach fired during his rookie season. I mean, you had Trevor Lawrence when he was picked number one overall. He had the Urban Meyer disaster. They had to move on from Urban Meyer. Bryce Young, Carolina moved on from Frank Reich. During his rookie year, the Bears moved on from Matt Eberflus last year and Caleb Williams' first season. Interestingly, all of those quarterbacks have struggled so far in their NFL career, varying degrees of success, but none of them have become the true franchise quarterback I think that you expected out of a number one pick. I can't help but think that's not coincidental, that it has something to do with the instability of bringing a guy in, having him learn a system, and then immediately that system is thrown out and he's got to learn a new one. And I just feel there's value with these young quarterbacks in stability. And so we'll see what happens with Cam Ward, but it's been a rough start for him as well.
Coach, when you bring up all those quarterbacks and they had their coaches fired, and these were the people that picked them, they selected them, is this in the best interest of the player, or is this setting them back for further disaster? I mean, we've seen the Bryce Young experiment. What's your take on that?
I think that's a huge setback. Urban Meyer is maybe the outlier because his whole reign in Jacksonville was chaotic and disastrous.
Right.
But you set Bryce Young up with Frank Reich. That's a guy who knows what he's doing, who helped bring quarterbacks like Andrew Luck along, is a known quarterback developer. They gave him 9 games or 10 games, whatever it was. And then Bryce Young suffered the consequences by really struggling. He's just starting to come into his own now with Dave Canales. I just think that these teams are too quick to pull the trigger when things aren't going the way they want them to.
Rob, what's your take?
My take is, if you have a head coach where there's even a possibility that person could be fired a year after taking a quarterback first overall, you don't let that person take the quarterback. Don't let that person make that choice. It is absurd. The quarterback is the leader. He sets the tone for your entire franchise. If you can't take a guy, a quarterback, and let them stay with the coach for a couple of years, then don't let that coach pick that quarterback. Because what if the new guy doesn't like that quarterback? Then you're in this weird scenario where the quarterback is not the coach's guy. The coach maybe wants somebody else, especially if things don't go well, and he wants to fire him to get his own guy in there. And you can't really judge the new head coach till he has his own guy at quarterback. It's just bad process. There is a reason that bad teams stay bad, and it's doing things like this.
And it's not so much the fact that they are going to have to replace probably maybe even the whole front office. It depends on if the general manager sticks around after this season. But then you're saddled, like you said, with this quarterback. In this case, we're talking about Cam Ward of Tennessee. And you're like, what if the new coach does not feel that he is that guy? What if he doesn't want that? Or maybe the coach and the quarterback that they're going to hire does not jive together. This is not an entrenched starter. This is someone that's still learning their way through the NFL. I don't think this is the only firing we're going to see. Stats, who do you think's next up on the chopping block if you had to take a guess?
How is it not Mike McDaniel? I mean, and I even thought he was going to get a little reprieve because Miami scored at the end of that game. And then I was like, all right, maybe he can hang on. And then, nope, the Chargers go down. They handle their business. He loses again. Then Tua gets up to the podium and starts talking about guys aren't showing up on time to players-only meetings, and the leadership is not good. I mean, it just seems to be getting worse with every passing week in Miami. So I don't know how it's not Mike McDaniel.
Coach, anywhere else you would go with the next coach to be fired?
No, I agree with Rob, and in particular, those comments from Tua. That is a I was going to say public execution. That's a bit dramatic, but that is about as damning as you can get, right, from your starting quarterback.
Yeah, that is a fire this guy kind of like, you know how those comments are going to be perceived, man.
Yep.
I will say I'm here for the Brian Daboll parade where he is going around kissing babies with Jackson Dart and signing autographs and giving out little Daboll 2026 favors. He's loving life right now. We'll put it that way with Jackson Dart at the helm. But Rob, your stats on fire commentary this week. I'm curious where you're going to go. What do you got for us?
Well, I think it's pretty obvious. You mentioned Daboll. He kind of kicked off the whole thing. There are no really good teams in the NFL this year. This is a wide open year if there ever was one. You had the Super Bowl champion Eagles go against a division rival Giants team that was sputtering, and the Giants pasted Philly in front of a primetime audience. You look at some of the other games that went down this week, you never know who the hell is going to win. Detroit looked like world beaters. Kansas City is flailing. Kansas City, of course, goes out and doubles them up 30-17. It is a wide open year, and as the trade deadline approaches, I think we're going to see some crazy deals because everybody thinks they got a shot, and we're going to see some big trades because the few sellers that there are going to be able to demand a high value for the assets that they trade away.
We'll get to the trade line in a second, but let's talk parity. Here are your one-loss teams. Remember, there's no undefeated teams anymore, which is wild to think about. We're only going into week 7. The Pittsburgh Steelers are 4-1. The Indianapolis Colts are 5-1. And that does it for the AFC. If you go to the NFC, you've got the Packers at 3-1-1, if you want to count them. And you have Tampa Bay at 5-1. Guys, that's it. That's it for the one-loss teams. Any team that I just mentioned, Coach, are any of those teams a juggernaut?
Oh, no.
Exactly.
I challenge you to find anyone who back in August would have said in mid-October, the number 1 and number 2 seeds in the AFC are going to be Indy and Pittsburgh. And the 1 and 2 seeds in the NFC are going to be Tampa Bay and Green Bay. Maybe you could get close on Tampa Bay and Green Bay. No way you're getting Pittsburgh, Indy.
No. And so that everyone always says, social media, it's a big thing. Who's the team to beat? I don't think there is one. You can talk about the Chiefs. You can make cases for the Eagles. But ultimately, this is what the NFL wants. It is a week-to-week league. They want you to watch and wonder, are the Eagles going to lose 3 in a row? Are the Chiefs making a comeback? And even a team like the Baltimore Ravens is getting a lot of screen time saying when they come off the bye, when they get healthy, this team could go on a tear. I don't know, Rob. What do we make of this NFL heading into week 7? It is so odd. I'm not used to this. I'll put it that way.
This is Roger Goodell's dream, right? Remember when he was asked who does he root for? He says whatever team is losing. Like, the Ravens could go on that run when Lamar comes back. You mentioned Tampa Bay, right? Number 1 in the NFC. They're 5-1. 4 out of their 5 wins came in the final minute of the game. Like, yeah, they're 5-1, but that's how close they were. If the games were 58 minutes, they'd have 4 losses. But they're 60 minutes, so they're 5-1. It just goes to show the parity around the league right now. It's what the NFL wants because it means you have to watch, right? There are no dud games because you have no idea who's going to win going into any of these games. And it's something that I think they've been working to for a few years, and now they got it right where they want it.
Now, Coach, let's switch and let's talk a little bit about the trades, which the trade deadline's coming up in early November. I want to say it's November 4th off the top of my head, if I don't know if that's accurate or not, but it's coming up and it's quickly approaching. Rob brings up the fact that some of these teams that are sellers are going to be able to ask top dollar. What's your take on a team that realizes that they're not going to be making the postseason and they're just looking to offload some talent? What's your take on all that?
Sell, man. I mean, get what you can get because the NFL is very transient. We're talking about Indianapolis with the best record in the league a couple years ago that they were in dreadful shape as a franchise. You can overturn your fortunes or turn them around very, very quickly with a key trade. So let's say you're the New Orleans Saints and you've got Alvin Kamara. I mean, people are going to come calling. There's already rumors that the Chiefs are considering a deal for a back like Kamara, right?
Oh.
Go for it, man. I mean, if you're New Orleans, get every last nickel that you can out of them, every last asset that you can out of them, because this is your window to stockpile draft capital. I don't know where they are with the salary cap, but if you're in decent salary cap situation and you've got good draft capital, you can turn it around pretty quickly, provided you've got a quarterback.
And I think, too, the rental player prospects are always intriguing for a team that's just looking for a jump start at a specific position. When you think about a player who's going to be a free agent after this season, the team is like, well, we can get something for them. Maybe if it's just a late round day 3 draft pick, we'll take it. But Rob, who do you see as sellers? I mean, he brought up the Saints, that's obvious. But is there another team that you're like, I could see them shipping out a bunch of players?
Well, I hate to harp on this again, but Miami, somebody like a Bradley Chubb, every team could use a pass rusher,
That's
right?
true.
Like you can never have enough good pass rushers. If you're Miami, absolutely Bradley Chubb. The Kamara thing with the Saints makes perfect sense. He's 30 years old. Like by the time you rebuild this thing, Kamara's not going to be able to help you. You should absolutely be trading him. But I look at Miami as a potential seller. I mean, I would say Cleveland, but I don't know who they have to sell. They just locked up Myles Garrett, so I don't know what else is there. But I think that we'll see in the next couple of weeks, too, some more sellers emerge. The Jets, obviously, I mean, my goodness. If I were Garrett Wilson, I would be screaming, trade me now. That dude is open all the time, and they can't get him the football. The Jets, I mean, I don't know what their plan is, but certainly at 0-6, they got to be sellers.
You have to think so. So I want to bring up this question to you all before we get into the matchup segment with Coach's game of the week in his eyes. And I was going to talk about the worst division in football. We'll push that off for a week. I want to talk to you about Mike Tomlin's comments. So Mike Tomlin, who spoke to the media Monday because the Steelers are playing on Thursday Night Football, was asked about the recent trade between the Cleveland Browns and the Cincinnati Bengals, which sent Joe Flacco from Cleveland to Cincinnati in a late day, I think it's a 5th or 6th round pick swap, something along those lines. He called out Andrew Berry, general manager of the Cleveland Browns, by name and said, maybe he's smarter than everyone else, but I don't like it. And this is all bringing up a lot of discussion around league circles about inter-division trades. And Mike Tomlin cited the fact that the Browns dubbed Joe Flacco the week one starter for the team. How do you just ship them to a division opponent because they are a team in need? Rob, what's your take on this?
I'm stunned that Tomlin said anything about it. Like, first of all, like you said, to call out a divisional team's GM by name is pretty nuts. But also, like, hey, Mike Tomlin, shut up. They can do whatever they want. Like, are you just mad because you think that Cincinnati might be better now? Like, you thought Cincinnati was going to be a pushover and now they might be better and you have to deal with them because they have Joe Flacco? Like, I don't understand it. You don't have to like it, but, like, you got your own problems, Mike Tomlin. You haven't won a playoff game in, like, 15 years. I know your team is good right now, but I have no idea why he thought it was cool to open his mouth and criticize them.
It was very un-Tomlin, like, I'll say that, as someone that covers the team. But, Coach, what was your take on Tomlin?
Yeah, exactly what Rob said. My take was they play the Bengals on Thursday night. They wanted to play against Jake Browning because they knew that would be a dub. And now they got to play Joe Flacco, who historically has been good against the Steelers. And Mike Tomlin recognizes a veteran like Joe Flacco will be fine preparing on a short week. But a young guy like Jake Browning will be in the weeds trying to prepare for a complicated defense like Pittsburgh's. So he's pissed. And if you're Cleveland, they don't care. They're not going to win or contend for the division this year. Joe Flacco being the quarterback of the Bengals will have zero impact on the Browns, but it could potentially have a significant impact on the Steelers. And that's what Mike Tomlin was pissed about. And I agree with Rob, man. That's not the place to air that grievance in a press conference, unless you got some other angle you're trying to work, some hidden agenda about this that we don't know.
Well, let's remove this one situation. Now, I want to ask Rob first. What do you think about those weird interdivision trades? They are rare, but they're becoming more commonplace every single year. Hey, is it just I'm going to get the best deal I can, or do you think there should be, in your case, the NFC West? Would you see you're all doing a deal with the Seattle Seahawks? It seems weird, doesn't it?
I look at it like a tax, right? Taxes stink. You have to pay more in certain situations, but they can still be worth it. I get why teams don't want to trade in division because you're always scared that whatever you give up is going to come back to haunt you. But also, like, you have an obligation as a general manager of your team to get the best deal whenever you make a deal. Now, you have to decide, how do you factor in that tax as to making a trade in the division? Does it ultimately make it worth it? But if that's the best deal by far, you do it and you don't worry about it. It doesn't matter if you trade somebody away and they're good. Yeah, that's a bummer. But if what you get back in return is also really good, that's all you care about because that's what's affecting your team in that moment. So I know it's rare. I know guys are worried about job security, and it's embarrassing kind of if the asset you give up hurts you. But as long as what you get in return is good, you're going to be fine.
Is that thought, Coach, of not trading a player inter-division, is that antiquated now?
A little bit. I mean, I think that Rob's on the nose there with the idea of we are acting in our own best interest. You also don't see marquee players though being moved within the division. We're talking about 40-year-old Joe Flacco right now.
Right.
Like Saquon Barkley went from the Giants to the Eagles, but that was free agency. Right. Patrick Queen went from the Ravens to the Steelers, free agency. I mean, the Steelers are not trading TJ Watt to the Ravens right now. What if the Ravens came and said, we'll give you like a whole landslide of picks? No, they're not going to do that.
Yeah, that's a good point. All right, let's transition now to our matchup segment where, Coach, you want to look at the X's and O's of an upcoming game, in this case in Week 7. Where are you looking this week?
Yeah, this is a big game. Philadelphia at Minnesota. The Eagles have lost 2 straight. I live near Philadelphia. I can tell you with absolute certainty that winning the Super Bowl last year calmed the Eagles fans down for like a hot minute. But they are riled back up again, man, because they hate the offensive coordinator, Kevin Patullo, who, in defense of Eagles fans, Philly took basically like, a Porsche of an offense, and then they gave the keys to like the 17-year-old, like ne'er-do-well son, and said, here you go, kid, enjoy. Like Patullo had never been an offensive coordinator before. And a lot of people feel like the scheme is bland, that they're not doing a good job getting the ball to A.J. Brown, et cetera. But I think the biggest problem is this: they can't get the run game going. That is where Philly hung their hat last year. Barkley ran for over 2,000 yards. He hasn't had a 100-yard game yet. This is the week. If Philly's going to get right in the run game, this is the week to do it, because Minnesota, as good as that defense is with Brian Flores, as much chaos as they can create, they're not a big defense. They're lighter. They like to play with their nickel package. One thing we know about Philly, they can put big bodies on the field and slam it down your throat. Minnesota's got the 24th ranked run defense in the NFL. If Philly can't run the ball this weekend against Minnesota, alleviate some of the pressure on Jalen Hurts and, the drama that's going on with him and not getting the ball to A.J. Brown enough, et cetera. If they can't use the run to set up the pass, then they may really be in trouble. Because right now, hey, we've seen Philly have lulls before. They were 2-2 last year before they went to their break and then ripped off 17 out of 18. That could happen. But if they can't run the ball this weekend and they lose a third game, then Kevin Patullo's job might really be in jeopardy.
Rob, what's your take on the Eagles? They're a tough nut to crack, man. I'll put it that way.
For a team that has won as many games as they have, it sure seems like they're miserable most of the time. And again, they are the reigning champions, but it sounds weird to say. It is hilarious to me as a 49er fan because the fan base is howling right now because the Niners are dead last in yards per carry at 3.1, and everyone's been screaming, we need to invest in the offensive line the way the Eagles do, and we got to learn from the Eagles. Well, the Eagles are averaging 3.5 yards per carry as a team this year, and before you say, well, that's the tush-push dragging the average down, Saquon Barkley is averaging 3.4 yards per carry. They have turned Philly Saquon into New York Giants Saquon, which is stunning to me. How do you do less with more? Look at the talent that they have. Everyone likes to talk about Brock Purdy in the Avengers. Jalen Hurts has got the Justice League, right? You got Dallas Goedert. You got A.J. Brown. You got a Heisman Trophy winning wide receiver in Devontae Smith. You have a great offensive line, and you have Saquon Barkley, and they are just constantly stuck in neutral. And if you're Nick Sirianni, you don't coach the offense. You don't coach the defense. You're supposed to be the CEO head coach, the culture head coach. The culture in Philly is terrible right now. It is amazing what is going on there.
Coach, if you had to give a prediction, what do you think happens at 1:00 on Sunday when the Eagles go to Minnesota? Do you think they're able to get the running game revived?
Well, I mean, here's the catch-22 about it. You can invest those resources in the run game, but does it come at the expense of distributing your targets in the passing game, because you still have all this squawking going on from A.J. Brown about how he's not getting the ball enough? So what is the best recipe for success? We saw Philly abandon the run game last week. Barkley wound up with 12 carries. and the Eagles obviously got the doors blown off in New York. So it feels like if Philly is being true to itself, that they're going to commit to the run and use that as the impetus for developing the passing game. If they try to do it the other way around, I think it's a recipe for disaster.
All right, let's transition to our prediction segment where we give you some type of predictions and picks. Coach, what did you have last week? I'm trying to remember.
Well, I've married myself to the
Jets.
New York Jets. They almost did it, damn it. 13-11. By the way, here's your fun fact of the week. That is the third 13-11 game in NFL history.
Well, did you see Justin Fields' stat line?
Yeah, he had minus 10 net passing yards.
Yeah, if you take net passing yards, he had negative passing yards.
Almost
I don't
impossible.
think I've never seen that. I can't say that it's never happened, but I've never seen that. That's insane. Are you still riding the Jets this week?
You better believe it, baby. Let's go. I'm going down with this ship. At some point I'm going to be right. It may not be till next year, but at some point I'm going to be right. I mean, no, we talk about trying to pick upsets and things of that nature. It feels like that's just the league right now. Rob said at the beginning of the show, you don't have any single team that you can reliably hang your hat on week in and week out. And so it almost feels like picking any game could be a potential upset. I mean, the Jets are hosting Carolina. Carolina's playing some pretty good football, but nobody's like ready to say, oh, the Panthers are just going to, come in there and roll. Why not? Let's go with the Jets again.
And the Jets are actually home dogs in that game. Carolina is spotting 1.5. So if you're taking the spread, they're going to be getting points at home. I'm going to go with, last week I said the Seahawks over the Jaguars, which actually did come through on the money line with the Seahawks beating the Jaguars 20-12. The Jags coming off that Monday night win over the Kansas City Chiefs. And this week, I'm still looking for a big game. We're going to talk about this game in a second with the game of the week options. I'm going to go with the Colts going on the road against the Chargers. The Chargers are giving 1.5 at home. The Colts, that running game is that's traveling well. And plus, the Chargers at SoFi aren't necessarily having a large home field advantage. So I think the Colts keep it rolling. Danny Dimes, boy, does he look like he revitalized his career there in Indianapolis. I'll take the Colts to beat the Chargers and advance to 6-1. Rob, what do you got for us?
I'm just like you. I love when the team I think could win the game is getting points. That's like the perfect combination for me. So I'm going to actually head to Sunday night. I'm going to pick against my 49ers. The Niners are favored by 2.5 points over Atlanta. With no Fred Warner and no Nick Bosa now for the Niners, I don't know how they're going to stop Bijan Robinson. He looked phenomenal last night. So I will take Atlanta. They have the best pass defense in the league. I don't know who the quarterback's going to be for the 49ers. Maybe George Kittle's coming back, but I don't really care, to be honest with you. I think Atlanta's going to beat the Niners outright, so they're getting 2.5 points. I'll take that.
All right, so let's talk about some games of the week. I mentioned the Indy at Chargers game. Coach, what's your takeaway from this game? There's a lot of storylines here. The Chargers obviously coming off that crazy come-from-behind win over Miami. Lad McConkey and that throw by Justin Herbert, just that play alone was actually remarkable. What's your take on the Colts going to L.A. at SoFi to play the Chargers?
Yeah, Colts went out to LA earlier in the year to play the Rams. That's their only loss so far. So, I mean, I don't know if the travel has anything to do with it. Probably more so the opponent. Chargers are obviously banged up. They kind of got right a little bit in Miami, but they had to win that game in the final minute. I just don't think they're healthy enough. They're missing both of their stud offensive tackles. Now they're down their two starting running backs. They had a practice squad guy rush for over 100 yards against Miami. You're not going to get that every week. I kind of like the Colts in this one. I just think right now with the Colts, they're playing consistent football in all phases, and they're not turning the ball over. And you can win a lot of games in the NFL. If you can just do the basic things at a high level, you don't have to have superhero quarterback. You don't have to have, some outlandish performance week in and week out. Be steady, because a lot of teams can't do that consistently.
Rob, anything you want to add on that Colts-Chargers game?
I'm picking the Colts as well, especially, like I said, love that they're getting points. I agree with everything Coach said. I just think they're the more consistent team. The Chargers, you never know which Chargers team is going to show up. I have no idea. If the Chargers put up 40 points, I wouldn't be shocked at all. If the Chargers put up 10 points, I wouldn't be shocked at all.
Yeah.
I don't love that when I'm trying to pick games and pick teams.
All right, the other game of the week that we want to talk about is the Monday nighter, the early game, 7 p.m. Eastern time. Tampa Bay going to Detroit. Detroit's coming off of their Sunday night loss to the Kansas City Chiefs. Tampa Bay is riding high at 5-1. Coach, what's your take on this big-time NFC showdown?
That's going to be fun. My take is this. Take the points. Take the over. Take
52,
the over.
52.5 is
over.
the line.
Over. All right, this is going to be like a 34-30 game, something along those lines. I mean, Baker Mayfield, for me, is the MVP so far. And Tampa Bay might be the most complete team in the NFL right now, which is fascinating. And Detroit, though, was playing some really good football until they went into Kansas City, got frustrated by that Kansas City defense. But Dan Campbell's a bounce-back guy. So I think this is going to be one of the best games of the season.
The Lions are giving 5.5 points in this game, which seems wild to me. Yeah. But, Rob, what's your take on this game?
I wish that Tampa Bay had some more of their studs. You know, Mike Evans, Bucky Irving, Godwin banged up. Emeka Egbuka hurt his hamstring in the second half, or in the first half, I should say, against the 49ers, missed the second half of that game. You know, is he going to be healthy to be out there? Because if everybody was out there, I agree. I think this is one of the most fun games on the entire schedule. Baker's making an MVP case right now. He had an MVP moment with that. Just talking about it makes me mad. That 3rd and 14 scramble where he breaks 4 tackles and runs for a first down on 3rd and 14. And then 2 plays later, he throws a 45-yard touchdown pass. I mean, those are the moments that stick out when you think of MVP and stuff like that. So it's going to be a ton of fun. Hopefully Egbuka can get back because if you can, that's the game of the week.
And let's finish this up with the international series. The NFL is in London again. The early game is 2-4-2 teams when the LA Rams and Jacksonville Jaguars go head-to-head in London. This has some intrigue, doesn't it, Coach? I never would have thought this when the schedule came out, but it does. Well,
yeah, if they can get anybody to show up after that Jets debacle that they sentenced the British to,
That's what they get.
If you want to grow the game, don't send the freaking Jets overseas. That should be, like a rule for the NFL. But yeah, it should be a great game, and I like the international series. I like the international games. I mean, I'm a football nerd, so if you put football on at 9:30 in the morning, I'm going to watch it. And I feel as though like the crowds have been great. The crowds have been enthusiastic. I don't know how much they get American football, but they seem to be enjoying themselves.
All right, Rob, what's your take on that early game Sunday?
It's a massively important game. Obviously, Jacksonville wants to keep up with Indy. If Jacksonville wins and the Colts lose, then you got a tie atop the AFC South. And for the Rams, this is a prime advantage. The Niners just lost Fred Warner. You could easily see the Niners losing a bunch of games here. You're trailing them in the standings right now because the Niners have the head-to-head tiebreaker over you. This is a massively important game if you're the Rams. Puka Nakua's a little banged up, so I don't know if he's going to play in this game. That could be scary because the Rams basically only throw to 2 guys, Devontae Adams and Puka Nakua. So if he's not there, how does that change things for their offense? But it's an opportunity for LA to make a move in the West if they can get a win.
It's going to be intriguing. It's going to be fun. It's going to be, I can't believe we're in week 7. I'll just put it that way. I can't believe we're entering week 7. But nonetheless, let's finish this up. Rob, I want to give you an opportunity to plug what you're doing for Pro Football Insiders and your 49ers coverage.
So just search Gold Standard 49ers wherever you get your podcasts, or you can check us out on YouTube. We're live all 5 days of the week. We're commiserating right now. We are in full hopium mode after Fred Warner's injury, but we're all going to get through it together, come hell or high water. If you check us out, I promise you will come back for more, and I hope you do.
Your team is cursed, man. I saw your kicker got his foot stepped on by a lineman. What is going on? I don't know. Is that stadium on some Indian burial ground or something?
I figured it out. This is the bad place. We're in the bad place. That's what it is with San Francisco.
Coach, your Call Sheet Daily podcast, as well as what you're writing for Pro Football Insiders, I'll let you plug that now.
Yeah, running the Call Sheet Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Our whiteboard show on Wednesdays. Check us out at K.T. Smith FFSN on X. Video breakdowns today. Got a bunch of stuff out on the outside zone scheme, which is just taking over the NFL. All the teams that are running it and the different varieties of it. So if you like those types of breakdowns, man, check us out.
Absolutely. If you want our Steelers coverage, go to Steel Curtain Network, wherever you get your podcasts, any social media platform, Steel Curtain Network and SteelCurtainNetwork.com. That does it for another Pro Football Insiders Football Buffet. Gentlemen, I'm full. We'll talk next time. Take it easy.